What is the difference between failure and success in salespeople? Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Champion Reads podcast. And joining me today is Lauren Cobb, one of the executive team members over at Champion Circle. My name is John Kovacs Jr. I am the founder and CEO of Champion Circle. And today it's a small crowd, but we're excited about the conversations to be had. Bad timing. That was a really, really big sneeze. I felt it coming the second I started talking. No worries, no dubs.
Real life.
That's live in real life. That's how you know we're human. So just wanted to say welcome, everybody. And if you've been following along, we are currently reading a book called The Little Red Book of Selling. It's by Jeffrey Gitomer. Here, I'll hold up my copy. It's red. Look at that. And it's little. And it's awesome. You can pick this book up anywhere, literally anywhere. I have got several copies of this book somewhere in boxes. And I remember that I don't know if this is a compliment to share this out loud, Jeffrey, if you ever hear this, I mean this with the best intentions, but I love going to like secondhand bookstores and grabbing a bunch of books. And I find a lot of Jeffrey's work there. And I think a lot of people purchased them and then they turn them over to other organizations, and I love it. I'm like, oh, grab them all. So if there's a secondhand store in the near vicinity, there are no Jeffrey Gitomer books because I've bought them all. Oh,
it's a book junkie, and it's a good thing.
I truly have a problem. It's an addiction, but they become my trophies. When I read them, I'm like, I want something to signal, but then if I write anything in them, and then I feel compelled to like give that book to somebody, they get my notes. And so it's kind of fun.
That's awesome.
Today we're talking about two different topics. And I think this is kind of cool because we get to fly through some of these, but I do want to ask the question, what is the difference between failure and success in a salesperson? And I think that failure and success are both individually defined. But in this book, it's asking really, what does it take to become a sales success? And in his book, he says, repeat out loud, I want to be a success. I want to be a success. And he spelled it IWANNA. I wanna. I think that's interesting because I think most of us have the desire to be a success for something. I don't think that's inhuman. I think that's important. And people forget the fact that they have their desires, they have their goals, and that's important. I mean, that to me is more important than sometimes just personal interests. Why? Well, because personal interests are like, oh, that's interesting. Let me learn more. But they don't really do anything with it. It's more of a matter of, oh, I would love to read up on that. And great, that makes for a wonderful conversation at Thanksgiving dinner. But who cares? It does make you interesting. But the more knowledge it doesn't really help us unless you do something with it. And I'm not saying don't obtain knowledge unless you're going to act on it. It's not really what I'm saying. We're talking about sales. We're talking about becoming a salesperson. So let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's just talk about the difference between failure and success. Lauren, if you don't mind me asking you, do you have your own personal definition, or maybe between what you think? What do you think the difference between failure and success is for a salesperson, or just in general?
Yeah, as you were talking, I was kind of thinking like nobody is born and nobody wakes up one day and it's like, I just want to be a failure. Like the human, we're designed to seek success, right? Like we want that, we earn for it. Everybody does.
Yeah.
And so in one way or another, whether in your different interests, and I love how you said interesting versus successful with your knowledge. And I would say success is not giving up, right? Like I've been successful in areas of my mental health journey, and that's a different success than in our business, right? But they're all successes. And part of it is that you're not afraid to keep going even when you fail.
Yeah.
Like you're determined to get there. And so knowing that you can have success in more than one way, I think helps because like they always talk about, right? You have a big goal, but don't forget to reward yourself along the way. And that's so that you don't give up. You don't feel like I'm never going to reach that goal. You celebrate your little wins and your little successes along the way so that you have that determination to keep going.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. You bring I think you bring a depth to this conversation, and totally agree with you that success is personal. It's very personal. It's all personal because what success looks like to Lauren might be failure or not success to me because of where we're at and the differences in our lives. But yet, success is not only a combination of belief and how you feel as a result of what you do. For me, success is the results, and a mentor of mine always calls me after one of our masterminds, and he always asks, how did it go? And my measurement tool is, I have two or three measurement tools. Number one is always how many people stick around after the call is over. People who are engaged, who are loving what we're doing and are just can't get enough, and they just don't want to leave the room. That's how I know that we've done a great job. And if it's like half of the people, it's amazing. If it's like the majority, I'm like, wow, what did we do this time? Let's study, because we did something right. And if there's like one or two people, it's like, okay, we did a good job. People are busy, but what did we do? What could we fix? What could we make better? And so for me, success is results. Humans always have success. I got out of bed this morning. Success. Did I do it in the way I wanted to? I still have kind of a tweak in my back, and did I just like launch up and say I'm going to have the greatest day of my life, or did I just get up and say, oh, my back?
Right.
But I got up. That's the success. So people forget that success is easy to achieve. Now, the difference is we need failure, but to be a failure is a different concept. We need failure because if it weren't for failure, we would never learn. If it weren't for failure, we could never succeed. It's the opposite of all things. Without light, there would be no darkness. Without darkness, there would be no light. And so we sort of need failure in order to achieve success. Success is the outcome. Whether it's a positive success or a negative success, who cares? It's success. Give yourself more credits, people. You have literally gotten out of bed today. You woke up and the sun rose another day. That's a miracle. Somehow, some way, we are orbiting around a gravitational pull, and yet our existence is not a guarantee. Yet here we are. Success. It's awesome. And failure is one of those things where if it's the chicken or the egg, right? We kind of need both. But to bring this into more definites, failure is necessary for the process of elimination. We'll use the cliche, but I always love my man, my boy Benjamin Franklin, and they claim that it took 1,000 attempts to creating the light bulb, and by the not creating a light bulb, but getting the light bulb power, right? And the 100
today.
Exactly. Yeah. And if he had given up on 500, would that failure have been would have brought light and success into our lives? Absolutely not. We'd be working by candlelight still.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine my life being different. I wouldn't have this ring light in front of me. I wouldn't have this laptop in front of me. So long story short on all that, before I go into too many tangents, I think there's a difference between being a failure and experiencing failures. We definitely need to know.
Yeah, like I was reading and it's talking about separating failure from failing. So many consider failing and failures as different concepts, with failing as the act of trying something you learn and it doesn't work, and failure is the act of giving up and not continuing to try. And it talks about thinking of them as separate terms can help you stay motivated to keep going towards success. And I love that because, like, in my realm of what I've been determined to succeed at lately and at a higher level is the digital marketing. And my mentor was talking about, like, you just go get your videos out there. It doesn't matter, because we all know that it takes building up your channel. It takes building up trust. And we've talked about this before with our teachings and recordings and trainings. You just go and do. It doesn't have to be perfect. You will build upon and gain that confidence as you go. Your first tries will probably be failures, but it's not that you're failing. It's that you're still learning and you're on the road to success. But you have to keep going. You can't just, nobody jumps out of the gate perfect, right? Like, and in that, she talks about assuming success, right? Like, you have to have that mindset. I am working at this. These videos aren't going to produce me 100 sales the first week, but I am getting more successful and comfortable, and I am going to get those sales next week. Like, you're practicing, you're building up to assume those sales are coming, kind of thing.
Oh yeah. I love that. And thank you for that good summary too. In the book, Jeffrey Gitomer gives us 18.5 secrets to sales. He says, okay, the secrets of sales success are not real secrets. They're fundamental steps, and the successful people and entrepreneurs have been executing them for centuries. They're more like attributes that high achievers have in common. And I'm just going to read them off because these are kind of interesting. And we've already covered like 10 out of the 18 in our conversation so far. But number 1 is believe you can. Number 2, create the environment. Number 3, have the right associations. Number 4, expose yourself to what's new. Number 5, plan for the day. Number 6, become valuable. Number 7, have the answers your prospects and customers need. Number 8, recognize opportunity. Number 9, take advantage of opportunity. Number 10, take responsibility. Number 11, take action. Number 12, make mistakes. I like that. Make mistakes. The best teacher is a failure. It's the rudest of awakenings and the breeding ground for self-determination. Freaking love that. Number 13, willing to risk. Number 14, keep your eyes on the prize. Number 15, balance yourself. Interesting. And number 16, invest, don't spend. Number 17, stick at it until you win. I love that term. And number 18 is develop and maintain a positive attitude. But 18.5 is ignore idiots and zealots.
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, and it's funny. We have a list that we go through for our team on digital marketing. I shared it with you a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And it is very specific, but then at the very end, it says plan for tomorrow, right? Like, so even if you didn't reach everything in that list for that day, plan for tomorrow, so you can set yourself up for success for the next day. Even if you're not reaching your ultimate goal the next day, you're planning for it. And you're going to do what you can and what you have in your toolbox to get there. Like, you're going to you have to be ready for the next day, right? You're not just like, I'm one day and I'm good. I've reached it, but you're planning for success day after day. And those steps that he's talking about kind of lead into that.
I love that. To bring a little artistic flair into this too, I'm reminded of the song from the musical Annie, the song Tomorrow, right? And I recently saw an artist sing it on the America's Got Talent TV show, or British Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah.
Anyways, long story short is it was just so beautiful, and I reminded myself the importance of planning, the importance of knowing, trusting, and believing that tomorrow will come. I know this, I said that the sun rose, but there is no guarantee. That's not to put fear in anyone's mind, but it is to plan ahead, to think forward. Yes, I got out of bed today. Did I have a plan? There were plans on my calendar, yes. But is that enough? Is that what it takes to be successful? And I think what Lauren shared is really brilliant, because it does take forward thinking. It does take planning. It takes an attitude. It takes a belief. It takes uh, a thought that, you know what, I did a lot today and I'm going to do more tomorrow. I watched a video recently. It's so funny how when Kobe Bryant was alive, it was really difficult to find a lot of really great content on Kobe Bryant. He was one of my heroes. I mean, the Mamba mentality of just getting it done and being the best. It was something I loved and I highly valued. And after he passed away, uh, his content's everywhere, and I somehow stumbled upon it, or people have released it, or they were hiding it and now it's available. I don't know. I don't get it. But his number one tip for success was, look, you can't do it all in one. Rome wasn't built in a day. The only way to get better is to be 1% better each day. And that might mean, jumping up and down and doing 10 burpees. That might mean taking the stairs rather than the elevator. That might mean, read another page, or before you get out of bed, like, say something out loud that makes you feel good or makes you happy or gives you gratitude. Be 1% better than you were yesterday. And every 1% effort is going to make you, over time, the greatest. And, when it comes to success in sales that Jeffrey Gitomer is talking about, just be 1% better. There's so many principles, but these aren't revelations. These are just things you can add together, and they're correlations of the the highest achieving salespeople in the world. And yet, do they master these all at once? Very few do, but most of them use a combination of all of those to achieve their own success.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because whatever industry you come across, a lot of those fundamentals are the same, right? Getting your mindset right, starting out the day correctly is going to get you farther in your day than just waking up, like you were saying, like, oh, I just have something on my checklist to do. So mentality has a lot to do with it in success and failure. And I've learned that over the last few years. It's not just like back in high school and middle school playing basketball. It was like, I'm just going to practice and I'm going to be able to, I can get those free throws all I want. I'm just going to be able to do it. And to an extent, yes. But when your mindset isn't there and it's all about you, then it doesn't make you a great basketball player, right? Like, I had to figure out, yeah, I need to be able to make a free throw, but I got to be able to play on a team, right? If I want to be successful, I can't win it all on my own. My team I need to play with them. And so it's a lot more mental than physical. And it's still true today, in any industry.
So true.
But I love, will you tell us again your little acronym for LEARN? I keep
Yeah,
forgetting it because
absolutely.
we use that in Champion Circle as like setting up our day for success.
Yeah, and it was something that I think we developed as a team, and over time I'm trying to memorize it and help people also learn it. But LEARN is LEARN. It's an acronym, and it stands for Listen to Positive Audios, engage with our community. We're a community of achievers. A stands for action through accountability or accountability, which literally just means, reach out to those who can help you do what you said you were going to do first. It has a lot to do with integrity. The R in learn stands for read. Read at least once a day, at least a page, 10 words, whatever. Just read something positive or read something in your industry. Read something that's going to progress you. And this is that 1% factor, right? Just read something. I'm not saying like read text messages, but like read something outside the norm, right? And N stands for nurture. And this kind of encompasses the rest of everything. Because if you learn every single day, you're going to grow. But what do you do with that? The N stands for nurture. Nurture your mind, body, and soul. Meaning if you need to take care of your body, eat the right things, do the right things. If you need to take care of your mind, go to therapy or do some prayer or meditation or whatever it might be. Your soul, if you need to take care of your soul, do what it takes to make you happy, focused, and ready. Jeffrey Gitomer talked about this. He said, especially in this concept, it was like principle number right here. It's principle number 2. Create your environment. Like your soul cannot thrive if you are working in a frictional environment, one that is keeping you from gliding across the surface and really making it easy for you to have success. So I love that. Did you want to add anything to the learn? We basically say to our champions, members of Champion Circle is what we call them. You need to learn every single day. Learn, listen to audios, engage with the community, accountability, read, and nurture. What were your thoughts on that?
I think of nurture as the action step, right? We've done all those things. Now, what are we going to do to progress in that? Because we can just read, like you were saying, and do nothing with it. It's just going to store us information, make us interesting. We'd be able to recall it on things like this in situations. But nurturing is actually taking it and moving forward with your day. Like you have to put in those action steps. For me, it's create the content, go talk to the people, get out there and do and live the life that I'm thinking about and learning about. So I hear you say it, and then I've multiple times been like, nurture is the action. That's where we move forward from our day. So you start it out correctly, get yourself in the mindset and ready to go, and then you go. So
I just put a huge smile on my face, Lauren, because I saw that light bulb moment come on for you. But more importantly, that is going to be such a great social media clip that you just shared. Willie, if you're watching this recording, that is the clip. That's the clip of this episode. That was better than a truth bomb. And I 100% agree with you, Lauren, because nurture is the next step. It's the plan ahead. It's the, okay, now that I've failed and succeeded today, what am I going to do next? What's better? I got to bring a little bit more,
right? Like
say it again. Go ahead.
When you're nurturing a baby, you are doing those things for them. It's nurturing is an actual like movement. It's not a mindset. It's what you do. You're nurturing to the people around you. You're nurturing to your child. You're nurturing, like, it is an action word.
I love that. Here's a I don't know how to say this. Here's a speaking technique. Take anything and make it into a relatable nothing. Speaking of babies, let's go back to basketball. Babies are not basketballs, but you know what is? Caitlin Clark is all the rage right now.
Yes.
And I'm super proud to say it because back when I was a kid, and I know we talked about Kobe Bryant, back when I was a kid, if you did a backup one step fadeaway jump shot, that was a Kobe shot. And we would always yell the word Kobe when we'd shoot it in the air. Well, nowadays, kids are saying when they're shooting beyond the arc is the 3-point line. If they're even like a foot from the 3-point line, you know what they're saying nowadays? Clark. They're saying Clark's name. And
that's cool.
She is one of the most watched and recognized persons in basketball today. And I was up late.
It was Margot Didek for the girls.
Was it?
Yeah, she played for the Utah Stars and then moved to Texas, but she was one of those like iconic
Yeah.
women basketball players.
Yeah, and I caught myself watching replays. I was just trying to catch up on her season, and I realized, like, I was proud to be one of the watchers of YouTube videos of her highlights because I'm contributing to this, but I have an interest. There's something interesting about this, and I'm also proud to say that, I've never purchased an NBA jersey in my life, and I'm actually thinking about buying a WNBA, Fever jersey with Clark,
Or
and the reason why I bring all this up is because there's something interesting about watching people who are great. And this is Caitlin Clark's first season in the WNBA. Other teams are guarding her like she is a threat to society. They're treating her like she's, there's a lot of drama, but the drama is awesome because it's only making her better and stronger. And she's already surpassed more points, more assists, more rebounds, more blocks than any other person in the WNBA, even though she's not like LeBron James, scoring 30 points a game. She's
yeah,
doing fantastic for where she's at. The reason why I brought all this up is she was the perfect example and why I was up late last night watching her videos. No matter how many times people have blocked her out, pushed her down, checked her from the side, illegal fouls, she just gets right back up and she keeps playing. And that was a reminder to me that this is why people are great. This is why people have success. Failure is necessary. You are not a failure. Get that out of your mind.
right.
Just because you failed doesn't mean you are a failure. Failure is necessary for success. And one other question, and we may or may not get to the depth of this question, but what is your biggest fear when it comes to sales, when it comes to anything? And I was talking to a friend yesterday and they were like, "Oh man, John, can you help me with my presentation?" And I was like, "Well, what are you afraid of? Is it speaking? Is it rejection? Is it embarrassment, or is it failure?" And she said, "I think I'm afraid of failing." I said, "Well, how can you fail? You got a mouth, right? You got vocal cords, right? You can put words to the sentences, right? How can you fail? You can literally get in front of people and read a presentation and succeed. That's one step up from where you thought you were before." So what are you really afraid of? And why, and what do you think, Lauren? What do you think fear is? And why does it come into play when it comes to sales? Like what are we really afraid of?
Yeah, I'd say being turned down,
Mm,
like
rejection.
that what you have and what you find so interesting isn't going to resonate with somebody else.
Mm,
And then for me, it was like, well, how do I rebound from that? Like, do I would just shut down in that moment, like, oh, okay, no worries, no worries. And part of it, that's okay. You don't want to be like forceful on people and come off like pushy. But then it was like, I'd lose confidence in myself rather than just like, okay, it's not for them, and move on to the next person. I used to let it just like kind of determine me or define me for a minute. And you can't let it do that. And the more comfortable I've gotten in business and sales and, talking with clients, um, it's very much so that I'm not for everybody. They're not for us, and our services aren't for everybody. And so you just don't, you learn not to take it personal. And you're never going to be perfect, but you're going to be improving, you know, and maybe they'll be in a different spot later on, but they're going to be watching you. Once you come to them, you go on their radar, right? And if they're in a different spot in life, they might come back to you, but you don't let it define you or define your relationship with that person. Like it's just you have to be able to cut and dry. We're good. We're going to keep moving on. I'm just because they said no doesn't mean I don't have something worth sharing.
Absolutely. And you nailed it on the head. I want to read part of um what chapter is this? This is just another section of the book on fear. And Jeffrey says many sales people fear making sales presentations, but by far the biggest fear salespeople have is fear of failure. It has a cousin, fear of rejection. And rejection is the pathway to failure. If you fear it, but while failure itself is real, the fear of it is a condition of the mind. And this is the cool part because I love Earl Nightingale. He says Earl Nightingale's legendary tape, The Strangest Secret, says, "You become what you think about. If that's true, why doesn't everyone think success?" The answer is a combination of what we expose ourselves to and how we condition ourselves. I want to cue in on that because what you just shared is valuable. Uh, our conditioning, every little thought, every little thing we do has conditioned us to actually believe what is right in front of us. And so if you feel like you have a lot of fears, and I'm not talking about like
Fear of spiders.
correct, right, like actual conditional fears. I'm talking about the types that we generate just because of lack of experience and
Yeah.
confidence, um and every little thing counts. But if you can fear, you can also believe. If you can believe, you can also fuel yourself with great thoughts. It's just a matter of conditioning the brain in a different way. But a lot of people can't see outside of that. And I've been in those shoes. I've been in that mindset before. I think we all have. The fastest way to create negative thoughts is just look at finances. Like finances is a hard thing to come to
Yeah.
terms with because it is a culmination and representation of your actions or lack thereof. And it's hard for people to come to terms with that. But if you start thinking positively and looking at these things in different ways, all of a sudden finances is not a dig nor negative, but it becomes a highlight and a success. So all in all, I think for salespeople, or especially for me, um, it is all about mindset. And you can choose to be a great speaker, salesperson, whatever it is that you want to be. And it's through your mental conditioning. Now, does it happen overnight? It can, but it doesn't. It's
Rarely.
something that you should, yeah, rarely. You should definitely work on it every single day. And people ask me, look, well, John, well, you're a professional speaker. Do you get nervous? And the answer is yes, of course I get nervous. What am I afraid of, though? I'm afraid I'm going to mess up my line. I'm going to appear incompetent in front of a crowd of people. Um, at this point, my greatest fear is my message going to reach every person in the audience? And I don't think it does still. And I think that's a legitimate quote unquote fear, but it's not a failure. It's a how do I get better? How do I reach every single soul? How do I make eye contact and make a connection and really build a relationship through the stage to my audiences? And it becomes a challenge rather than a fear. It becomes something that I still get nervous about, I get anxious about, but it's a challenge I get to go up against. It's going up against Kobe Bryant and Caitlin Clark in a basketball game. How am I going to perform? What am I going to do? And if I do so, will I do it with confidence? Because these two, they don't even blink and they take a strike, And so
Well,
for
I
me,
think
it's
that
all that.
goes. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think it goes back to doing the LEARN acronym, and everyone that's successful that we look up to, they've all had to learn these things in their lives. They're human just like us. Those thoughts creep in, and they've learned to not let it consume them and define them. And they are out there doing these things as well. Like principle is principle, and these people have figured it out to take these steps to help overcome that natural man and the natural fear that we let creep in our lives, and they're able to turn it into their success, right? But they're out there no matter what. I i guarantee you there's days that they're like, oh man, I'm just off of my game today, I'm not gonna be able to do that. Oh man, what if I can't play, what if I'm not guarding right today, but they're out there doing what they need to do and practicing and getting their mindset right so they're able to go out and do their best. Their best isn't the same every day, but they're preparing themselves to do the best they can in that given moment. And so they're doing these things, whether it's basketball, whether it's sales, whether it's, the president of the United States. I'm sure they get scared of any country to go out and speak to everybody. They're out there doing these things, hyping themselves up, getting their minds right before they go out to perform. And it's just been proven and talked about that that's what they still do, no matter how many years they're in the industry.
For me, Lauren, you've had several mic drop moments in this conversation, and I appreciate what you just said there. And I think that's appropriate for us to end today's conversations on. I know we could keep going. We definitely have so much content to cover. This is the second episode of maybe 2 or 3 more, probably 2 more of Jeffrey Gitomer's.
A little book, and we can.
Yeah, yeah.
This will be easy. We'll get through this one quick.
It's the little ones that bring the most out of us. It's interesting. There's content to cover, but there's so much involved, and I couldn't agree more. And you brought up something that I think is a whole nother can of awesomeness, and that was, let's talk about practice, right? Let's talk about the daily actions that go into developing the confidence necessary to succeed and fail. Because if you fail, you need to learn to fail fast, fail forward, fail so you can get right back up. My favorite motivational speaker, the one I grew up listening to the most, Les Brown, he used to say, if you fail, learn to fail and fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And
I love
most people, I just watched a silly video the other day. This office group was doing a trust fall exercise, and they had this guy get up, and all of them lined up behind him. And the guy gets up he's blindfolded, okay, and he's up on this chair, and they're like, okay, so on the count of 3, you're gonna fall. And they should have said fall back, but they said fall, and we're going to catch you. Will you trust us? Yes, I do. Okay, will you trust us? Right. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and he falls forward, and no one catches him. And I was like, oh, that was so predictable. But
it's funny.
But I remember watching that, thinking, if you can fail, learn to fail fast, fail forward. And if you can look up, you can get up. And I'm grateful for today's conversations. Lauren, thank you for all your awesome thoughts and suggestions. This is another awesome episode of Champion Reads podcast, where we talk about, review, and just share our thoughts on what we're learning through best-selling books and things that we're reading. You can join in on the conversations by sending us an email, asking questions, or maybe any topics you'd like us to cover in any of the episodes. You can send that email to team@mychampionscircle.com. In fact, if you'd like to learn more about our organization, how to get involved, how to attend our virtual roundtables, anywhere where we're using accountability to help business owners and entrepreneurs succeed on a daily basis, you can just go to mychampionscircle.com. That's MY champion, CHAMPION circle, CIRCLE.com. The reason why I spell it out is because there was one time I bought a domain. It was mychampionscircle.com, and it was because I had dyslexia for some reason, and I bought a different website that wasn't spelled correctly. I still have it today. It's a great one. But anyways, I'm grateful for the conversations, and appreciate the time spent today on today's topics. And we'll continue the conversations on Jeffrey Gitomer's The Little Red Book of Selling, which I think is a staple in any entrepreneur and salesperson's library. So
thanks for having me, John.
You're absolutely welcome. Thanks for being here. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time on our Champion Reads podcast.